today, we are alive in the world. So there is two things here. There is life and there is the world within which we live. We are alive in a specific world. What Allah is doing, what God is doing for us, He's doing two things, which is what the Prophet ﷺ said when he left the community. He said, I left with you two things. If you keep them with you, you're not going to go astray. The Quran and my tradition, Sunnati, which is the way I went. So there are two things that we need to get. First, Allah is sending a message. He sent a message for us. The message was sent through an example. لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. So there is the message, the substance of the meaning, and then the example of how do you implement this in a specific period of time. Having said this, the message and the example are giving us two things. First, the message is sending us and giving us the meaning of life. As soon as you say, you heard about Roger Garaudy, who converted to Islam, a French philosopher. He converted to Islam and he had a very simple statement, which is a very nice way to put it. To say God means to say life has a meaning. Allahu la ilaha illahu, life has a meaning. Okay? That the Tawheed is God has a meaning. So he's sending a message, and with this message, he's giving us the meaning of life, because we are alive, and the meaning of the world. The meaning of the world. Our life in this world has a meaning. It's for us to respect life and for us to respect the world. So the message is sent to us with the source, Allah, La ilaha illahu, telling us this life has a meaning, this world has a meaning, and you have to follow the example of the Prophet ﷺ. Now, when it is said that this life has a meaning, that this world has a goal, and the goal is for you, alive in this world, respect the creation of God. Why? Because you are going to go back to Him. The very meaning of Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, that we belong to Him and we go back to Him. That's life. And when this is said for us, it is said in something which is the revelation, by telling us that life has a meaning, that this world has a meaning, is giving us our worldview. What is our worldview? Who is the owner of everything? Allahu la ilaha illahu, lillahi ma fi samawati wa ma fi al-ard. What do we have to do and how do we have to understand our role? By saying this life has a meaning, the world has a goal, you have a specific role to play. I repeat, by saying life has a meaning, that this world has a goal, between the meaning of life and the goal of the world, you have a specific role as human beings. Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa. I'm going to set on earth a khalifa. A khalifa is a vicegerent. Knowing something which is important, that this world does not belong to us. Lillahi ma fi samawati wa ma fi al-ard. This is the worldview that Allah created life, created the creation, and created us, the creation to be respected, us to respect the creation, and to know that we belong to Him and we go back to Him. That everything is to Him, and what we have to understand as human beings, khulafa fil ard, means that we have to be vicegerent, to protect creation, to protect life, to protect everything. Maqasid al-Sharia, coming from the scholars after Al-Juwayni, Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, al-Shatibi, they were putting the maqasid all by protection of principles. We have to protect life, we have to protect the deen, we have to protect our kunu min al-muslihin, meaning you have to promote the good in this world by respecting the creation. So the Quran is coming and say, you are going to be khulafa. Knowing what at the same time, from the very beginning, the angels knew something about human beings. The angels knew something. And as the angels knew something, you have to know something. All my nice words today, you have to be good, you have to know Allah, you have to be respecting the creation, you have to be promoting the good, you have to resist the bad, you have to be people who understand that it belongs to Him, and we try our best to be min al-muslihin. From the very beginning, the angels told us it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a fight. أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَنْ يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا وَيَسْفِقُ الدِّمَاءَ. The angels were asking about human beings are going to put on earth people who are going to corrupt the earth and to spread bloodshed. Knowing that if you understand your goal, you human beings, you are going to face human beings. You should know that in the worldview, you should be promoting the right and the good, but you are facing human beings who are going to promote corruption, exploitation, and death, bloodshed. Your worldview is you are agent of peace, but human beings are not all peaceful. You are agent of good, but human beings are not promoting the good. You are agent of good knowledge, but some are going to promote bad knowledge. You are knowledge for dignity, and some are going to come with knowledge for money. Be prepared. That's your worldview. Your worldview is there is knowledge and knowledge. Knowledge for the good and knowledge for money. Knowledge to free and knowledge to impose. Knowledge to liberate and knowledge to exploit. What is your side? That's the worldview. From the very beginning, the angel said, human beings are going to corrupt the world, to destroy the world. And you have it in a very, very small chapter that you keep on repeating in your prayers without understanding the meaning. It's deep and simple. And you repeat it very often in a simplistic way because you're in a hurry. You have to pray quickly. So we say, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Quickly. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا. Look at this. والعصر. By the time. Human beings are going to their own destruction, except those who are going to stand up for the right, for with patience and faith, and do what they have. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. Those who are believers, and they are going to protect. By the way, it's not only the believers who are going to do good, but our understanding is that among all the human beings, we should stand up, knowing that we are in a history of cumulative corruption, and we have to be in a cumulative resistance. That's the worldview from the very beginning. So to be an agent of peace, know which struggle you have to fight, which resistance you need to promote. That's the very essential thing. So don't come with the Islamic epistemology as if it was all nice and peaceful. No, from the very beginning you have to resist. Knowledge is from where to do what? What do you want to achieve? And knowing what you have to achieve, you know who you have to resist. You need to know. So this is something which is the worldview at the very beginning, that from an Islamic viewpoint, the first step is, as I told you, that we are in the world, alive in the world. We have to protect life. We have to protect the world. But we need to know that we are going to face other human beings. They are not ready for that. Sometimes you are going to dominate. Sometimes you are going to be dominated. Sometimes you are up and sometimes you are down. That's the reality. Ibn Khaldun in Al-Muqaddimah was saying civilizations are ups and downs. That's life. So when you are down, and we are down, prepare to try to get up, to do something, to contribute. And never be arrogant. Ups and downs are just a way to show you that humility is the way we have to be within the creation. Humble with God. Ambitious with human beings. But humble with God. So now, Having said this, he sent us the book, the last revelation. اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم. This is the final revelation. وأتممت عليكم نعمتي. عليكم نعمتي means this is a grace coming from me. I gave you the last message. And I sent you the last example. And the best one. Now, at the same time, in the worldview that we have, Allah is telling us something which is essential, which is part of the Islamic Epistemology. The great majority of the scholars, the ulama and the fuqaha, when you are asking them, from where do you get your knowledge? You would say, I get my knowledge from the Quran and from the Sunnah of the Prophet. That's wrong. And that's the problem that we had around the 13th century. Something which was not there at the very beginning. Even in Malik, one of the first faqih, he was not like this. He never reduced Sunnat al-Rasul to the Ahadith al-Ahkam. He was looking at the environment. So this is why it's very important, even though you can be more Hanafi or Shafi'i, try to learn from other madhahib, and especially the first. Malik was looking at the Prophet ﷺ in the way he was navigating, not through the rules, but within a context. And he meant by Sunnah not only the texts, but the environment. And in fact, the scholars around the 13th century started to think our sources are Quran was Sunnah, and then what we add, wal qiyas, wal ijma, the creation of usul al-fiqh reduced something which was bigger than that. Because from the Quran itself, one of the sources of our knowledge is the world itself. The world, it's a source of knowledge. That if you look at yourself today, why we never had a problem with science? Because for us, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء, that the scholars are the one who are the most God conscious. Is it only the fuqaha? No, the verse is not talking about this. The word is talking about the world. The more you know the world, the more you say, MashaAllah. And it starts with your own self. Look at your brain. With your imagination, look at the way your brain is working. It's amazing. It's amazing. You are a miracle. So the Quran is a miracle, but you are a miracle. The world. So Allah is saying us, everything around you is a source of knowledge. Go and look. How do you know the time of praying? Why the Muslims were so quick in astronomy? Because they wanted to know exactly when Salat al-Asr starts. With the shadow of an object, if it has to be the double, you need to know how the sun is moving. So we started to look at the universe. No knowledge of al-ibadat without knowledge of al-kawn. Al-kawn is the universe. If you understand that our source of knowledge is also the world, you understand that you need the text and the world. The text and the context. The text and the environment. To the point that no alim would be able to give you a fatwa not knowing the world within which you have to deal with the fatwa. You need to know where we live. You wouldn't be happy if a Saudi scholar or an Egyptian scholar is going to teach you how in Delhi you have to implement some of the rules, because he doesn't live in Delhi. He doesn't know your reality. And in order to come with a fatwa, you need to live here. So to the point that the right scholar, Abu Hamid al-Ghazali was saying, if you want to find a scholar, look at the people around you, because he needs to know, or she needs to know, the world within which you live, here, around you, not in Saudi Arabia, because this is another reality. So how come the fuqaha were talking about the environment when it comes to تطبيق الأحكام في واقع معين, meaning implementing the rules in a specific environment, and then the source of knowledge is only the Quran and the Sunnah. How come? Impossible. The source of Islam, the source of knowledge, the Islamic epistemology, is a clear understanding of the message. Why do we want knowledge? What do we want to implement in a specific understanding of the world, knowledges, sciences? If you are a sheikh, you are not a medical doctor. If you are a sheikh, you are not a politician. If you are a sheikh, you are not a sociologist. You are not an historian. So keep your knowledge where it is and try to add knowledge where it is. But in the name of your knowledge of the text, not impose and never impose in the world the knowledge of the text because you don't know the context. And in fact, the text is telling you, you will never get the right understanding of the text if you don't understand the context. So it's knowledge plus knowledge. It's not knowledge minus knowledge. And it also has to do with history. History. The Quran is telling you what? Qasas al-Anbiya. How come the Quran is talking about history and Muslims are so bad in history? How come the Quran is telling you, and before you, it was Isa alayhi salam, wa Musa alayhi salam, wa Ibrahim alayhi salam, wa Nuh alayhi salam. It's a history of prophets, and you don't know about history? Why is it important to know history? Because they made mistakes. Don't do the same. Don't make the same mistakes as they did. Learn history and learn how human beings are working. Why the Prophet ﷺ was able to change Mecca? Because he knew Mecca. Why was he able to change Medina? Because he learned how the Medinian people was working. He heard about their culture. He heard about the way they were doing. He arrived there. He was the first to be surprised with women answering back to husbands. Did he say it's not Islamic? No, he said and he told Omar that the way of doing of women in Medina was as Islamic as the way they were doing in Mecca. Yeah. It means my culture is not Mecca. My principles are universal. But I need to know the context within which I live. So our source of knowledge here means that we need to know the world and we need to know the point. And you know, you have it in the verse. وَأَقِمْ وَجْهَكَ لِلدِّينِ حَنِيفًا فِطْرَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي فَطَرَ النَّاسَ عَلَيْهَا. And then what it is? لَا تَبْدِيلَ لِخَلْقِ اللَّهِ. But Allah, so وَأَقِمْ وَجْهَكَ لِلدِّينِ, stand up with your religion. And this is coming from your fitra. As much as your fitra is part of your the creation of God, لا تبديل لخلق الله, there is no change in the creation. So your fitra is a source of knowledge, but the world as well. لا تبديل لخلق الله, there is no change. Get it right. That if in fact you have two revelations, the text and el-sunan al-kawniyya. The text and, for example, the way we are dealing with the world in Surah Al-Rahman. It's strange, isn't it, that you have something which is from the beginning. Look, Allah is talking about Himself by saying Ar-Rahman, the most compassionate, the merciful. Not Allah, Ar-Rahman. Allama al-Quran. He taught the Quran. Khalaq al-insan. He created human beings and humanity. Allamahu al-bayan. He helped him or he taught him how to understand the Quran and how to express. And then what comes just after Al-Quran as a source of knowledge? الشمس والقمر بحسبان. So the sun and the moon are with very precise calculation. The world is talking to you. The world, so it's a source of knowledge. That in fact, if you want to start Ramadan, you better know how the sun and the moon are evolving. That's the world. That's the world. So we need to have this as part of our understanding. And by saying this, I want you to understand clearly something. That if you want to speak about the Islamic epistemology, we have to add knowledge to knowledge. So no one in this room should feel that he or she is not involved in the process. Maybe you have ulama in this room, but you are all students of knowledge, talab al-ilm. I myself, we are طلاب العلم, we are trying to get knowledge. We have to add our contribution to the whole picture by asking ourselves what you are trying to know now in your university, the degrees that you are trying to get, what you are trying to be, a doctor, a professor, is to do what and to serve what in order to achieve what? That's the question. That's your true question. This is why you have to challenge the dominant narrative about knowledge being just making money and controlling the world, or responding to your desire. Because now there is the great majority of knowledge, you know that 1/3 of what the money that they are doing on internet has to do with entertainment and fashion. So this is what you want the knowledge to serve. This is what you want to achieve. You have to ask this question. So you saw, simple question with no simplistic conclusions on it.